Hello, this is DJ Mega A17, and today I am here to discuss and review the fullbring arc of Bleach. Now, this is a video I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I actually told a YouTuber that I was going to do this, but I wasn't able to do it until now. So here it is, the long-awaited fullbring arc discussion / review video. Now, before I get into it, I pretty much should tell you how this arc went, essentially. Now, the arc pretty much starts off after, 17, 18 months after the events of the Aizen Aranka War. So we get to see Ichigo, Orihime, Chad, Uryu, Ichigo's sisters, those two kids at Urahara Shop, Tatsuki, Kengo, and Mizuru, 17, 18 months grown up. Chizuru, however, the redheaded chick with the glasses that's in the Orihime, she's not in this arc for some reason, and we don't get an explanation of what happened to her or where she is, even though she has spiritual awareness, but whatever. But then again, I don't think, Don Kanoji, I think he was in this arc, I'm not sure. If he was probably just shown in the beginning. Kon is not in this arc either, but he does come later. Chizuru, however, I have yet to hear about what happened to her. I guess it's because I like her character. I kind of wonder what happened to her. Anywho, so we get to see those, so we get to see them grown up. Even though Uryu doesn't really look, he looks pretty much the same. He doesn't really look that different. So we get to see them, 17, 18 months grown up. We get to see what they're doing what they have been doing since the Aizen stuff. We see that Uryu has taken Ichigo's role as the substitute Soul Reaper because Ichigo no longer has his powers. And Chad, apparently he's not being shown as much because he's doing his own thing right now. And Ichigo is just trying to enjoy his life without, Soul Reaper powers or any spiritual type of thing. It was also stated that Karin's powers, or her ability to see ghosts, whatever it was, has increased since Ichigo lost his powers, which was hinting around the fact that she was going to develop Soul Reaper powers soon. I mean, in the beginning of the arc, she actually, we actually see her go and visit Urahara's shop more. So anyway, we see Ichigo Ichigo's dealing with that, and everything's fine for the first couple of days or weeks or so, until events start happening in which Ichigo's friends start getting attacked by a mysterious person by the name of Fukushima. Now, Ichigo meets a guy named Ginjo Kugo, who for some reason was looking for his father. Anyway, he tells Ichigo about a group that he's part of called the Execution, who can get him his powers back. But Ichigo didn't really, of course, Ichigo, he turns it down at first, but after the crap goes down, with Fukushima hurting his friends, especially when it comes to Uryu, who he attacks, and is to the point where his arm is chopped off and he is sent to the hospital, Ichigo decides to change his mind and join this execution group. And thus we are introduced to the fullbringers, people who have powers. How they develop their powers? Well, apparently their powers were developed when their mothers were pregnant with them and they were attacked by hollows. So the hollows reishi or essence was infused with them, and when they were born, they were able to, develop powers. And which powers that they activate through certain items that they were given, I guess, from certain people. Kind of like with the Orihime with her barrette and Chad's coin that he got from his grandfather. Special items that they got from people that they really care about. So that's how they activate their powers. And of course, Chad is revealed to be a fullbringer. So that's supposed to be where Chad's powers comes from. I would assume Orihime is as well, but I'll get into that later in this video. Anyway, so as the arc goes on, Ichigo pretty much goes through his training, in which Ichigo trains with 5 of the fullbringers, or 4. There are 7 fullbringers in all. 2 of them went rogue. One of those 2 that went rogue was indeed Tsukishima, who is believed to be the main antagonist. Now, Tsukishima has the ability to insert his essence into you. He can insert his memories into you and make you think you're his friend. He has pretty much the ability to mind rape people. That's the easiest way to explain it. And his partner, the other rogue fullbringer, known as Mo, the Jackpot Kid, in which he has lucky punches, and he activates his power through Knuckles. And Tsukishima activates it through a bookmark from his, what was it, a Book of the End? And his bookmark turns into a sword, which was thought to be a Zanbakuto, but apparently it's not, although it would make more sense if it was. Now, for the rest of them, for the people that Ichigo trained with, Ginjo's powers, he has like a keychain of a Zanbakuto, and he can activate it and turn it into one. Ruruka has the power of a dollhouse, in which he can... It's kind of hard to explain how our powers work exactly. At least it's hard for me to explain it. It's better... If you've watched the anime, then you know how it works. Jackie's power is... Her power is called Dirty Boots, and her power is that... the dirtier her boots get, the stronger she gets. Yeah, it's like that type of thing. Yuki's power is pretty much a video game power, which he can... Yeah, which he can try, like, kind of open a video game dimension, with his Game Boy Advance, pretty much. That's really what it is. It was a Game Boy Advance. It was really cool. And then, I think last but not least, you have Gyurko, who's the butler guy, whose power is called Time Tells No Lies, in which he has the power to control time, or at least he has like a timer, pretty much. And actually, that one's kind of hard to explain for me anyway. Anyway, Ichigo trains with all these people. Tsukishima winds up attacking Ichigo in the middle of his training. Ichigo tries to fight him, of course he fails. Chad also tries to help him in this while in his training. And then unfortunately, Tsukishima winds up attacking everyone Ichigo's close to. He attacks Chad, Orihime, Tatsuki, Kango, Mizuru, Ichigo's sisters, even the fullbringers, even the execution members. He attacks all of them and essentially mind rapes them. And then, however, Ichigo, he presses on, he completes his training, and then after that, he goes to face Tsukishima, and then Ginjo, and then big shocker, Ginjo screws him over. He says, in which he reveals himself to be the true antagonist of the arc, and that him and Tsukishima and the rest of the execution were all working together this whole time, and that they was nothing more than a scam to pretty much steal Ichigo's powers so they can, use it for themselves. And apparently this is something they do to a lot of other Soul Reapers. It's a little game they like to play. It's a little scam. So Ichigo, he gets really depressed. He starts crying. And then he begs, begs Ginjo to give his powers back. And then Rukia shows up, stabs him in the chest, gives him his powers back, gives him the power of the entire 13 Core Guard squads. So not only does he have his Soul Reaper powers back, but I think he's probably stronger than ever now. Because because right after that he goes to fight Ginjo. He hits him with a slash. The thing was so powerful, it had like a huge shockwave. Ginjo actually asks him, was that a Getsuga Tensho? He says, no, that was a practice swing. And then Ichigo actually uses the Getsuga Tensho, which was so powerful, it wiped the clouds from the sky. So after that, the rest of the Soul Reapers that came along with Rukia, they show up. Rukia is also revealed to be the new vice captain of Squad 13. And the rest of them are there. The Soul Reapers that showed up along with Rukia was Renji Abai, who's the vice captain of Squad 6, Byakuya Yakuchiki, who is the captain of Squad 6. Kenpachi Zaraki was the captain of Squad 11, along with his vice captain Yachiru, and his third seat, Ikaku, Madarame. Who else showed up? Oh yeah, the captain of Squad 10, Toshiro Hitsugaya, and I think that's it. Yes, that was just like, they sent 3 captains and, 3 vice captains? Yes, I am not even joking. So you have essentially, 6 captain level fighters? Yeah, captain class fighters to deal with a bunch of humans. I'm not even joking. And this is kind of where I was like really iffy. Because when this arc was going on in the manga, a lot of people were, because the pacing was so slow, a lot of people were really happy when they showed up. Me, I had like mixed feelings, so I'll keep more into that a little later. Let's just finish doing the overview of the arc so I can actually discuss my issues with the arc. So pretty much, the fights commence. Yuki uses his power to separate everyone, and everyone winds up having a one-on-one fight. This is pretty much how the fights went. Yeah, Kenpachi versus Girko, which he cuts him in half. Jackie versus Renji. Renji beats her easily. Yuki versus Toshiro, that fight was pretty much a game of cat and mouse. What other fights were there? Oh yeah, Byakuya versus Tsukishima, which was an okay fight. You also had Mo versus Ikaku, which was a straight up fist fight. Rukia versus Ruruka, which was the troll fight, and last but not least, Ichigo versus Ginjo, along with Uryu, who really didn't do anything. It was just there. After everyone is beaten, Ginjo reveals that Ukitake had orchestrated everything, and that he used that the substitute soul reaper badge. It was suppressing that. The substitute soul reaper badge was actually suppressing Ichigo's powers, and they were using it to spy on Ichigo. Ichigo doesn't listen to him, so they proceed with their fight. Ginjo dies at the end of it, so yes, Ichigo kills a guy. I know, it's interesting. He kills a guy. Byakuya kills Tsukishima, but Tsukishima is like the last fullbringer to die, because only 3 of them actually died. Girko was killed instantly because Kenpachi sliced that dude in half. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Ginjo, he divided Ichigo's powers with the fullbringers, allowing them to get power-ups, with the exceptions of Tsukishima and Mo, because I guess he didn't want them to get a power-up. Well, he didn't say he didn't want Tsukishima to get a power-up because, Tsukishima was doing the mind raping thing. He was taking that thing. He was pretty much taking the whole mind raping thing too far, so he didn't want that to happen. Anywho, after all that crap happened, they all died. Their bodies, Ginjo's body is taken to the Soul Society. Ichigo goes back to get it, and he takes it to, he takes it back to the world of living. He buries it. Also, Ginjo is revealed to be the first substitute Soul Reaper, who is also a fullbringer. Even though we never learned what his fullbring power actually is. But then again, I don't think we ever learned what Ichigo's fullbring power was either. What else happened? Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what happens. Ichigo takes Ginjo's body back from Soul Society and buries it, and that's the end of the arc. So, now that I got through that, now we can pretty much do the discussion, and I'm pretty sure... How much time has passed in this video? Oh, 14 minutes. That's not that bad. Alright, let's get into the actual discussion. So, that's pretty much the fullbring arc in a nutshell. The arc is pretty much about Ichigo getting his powers back, and the introduction of the fullbring power. Now, there's a lot of issues with this arc, as well as missed opportunities. First and foremost, okay, I'm trying to figure out where to even begin with all the problems with this arc. Well, first and foremost, the pacing was horrible. But then again, it's Bleach, and Bleach is known for bad pacing because Kubo, I don't know. Now, if you're gonna get into the fullbring arc, I would suggest just watching the anime, because the anime does the arc much better. And the manga is dreadful because it took an entire year to get to the fullbring arc. Or the Lost Agent arc, since I think that's his official name. But who cares about that? So, that's the first problem with the pacing. Yes, it took a long time to get anywhere. So, that was the first problem. The second problem is Ichigo. Like, and this kind of goes into one of the missed opportunities I felt with this arc. I think, first and foremost, I think this arc should have been split into, like, 3 parts. You know how with the Aranka saga, it wound up being an entire saga, not just one arc. I think that's what this should have been. I think it should have been an entire saga, like, in which you can split into 3 parts. The first part being, the first part. As we get to see Ichigo and his friends, 17, 18 months after the Aranka stuff, and seeing them try to live their lives. They're trying to live their lives normally or doing whatever, and see Ichigo try to live his life without any soul reaper powers. I think that would have been good, in which you would then see like a progression in which Ichigo starts to want his soul reaper powers back. That would have been better. Because I felt like we jumped from Ichigo not having his soul reaper powers back into him needing his soul reaper powers back way too quickly. I think it should have been like an entire arc as a transition from him loving the fact that he doesn't have his powers back, and then as the first arc progresses, you get to see Ichigo starts to, miss having his powers and miss being a soul reaper. And miss having the power to defend himself and his family and friends, as well as just being able to fight because apparently he loves to fight. Even though this arc contradicts that, but whatever. So that's that problem. And then the second arc, of course, be the fullbring training, in which you have the development with Chad. Because apparently this arc was supposed to be about Chad. Because here's the thing, all the major arcs of Bleach is supposed to be based around the main cast, and it's supposed to go in which they were introduced. For example, the Substitute Soul Reaper arc, that's Ichigo's arc. The Soul Society arc is Rufio's arc. The Aranka saga is Orihime's arcs with an S. The fullbring arc was supposed to be Chad's arc, and the Quincy War is Uryu's arc or saga, depending on how that goes. So yeah, this was actually supposed to be about Chad. Hence why I say this should have been split into 3 arcs. Like, you can have the first one actually be about Ichigo, and then have the last 2, to have the second part be about Chad, with the fullbring training being like the secondary thing, and or you can have it be the primary thing, and have the secondary part being Chad's development as a character. And as we find out more about him and his heritage. Because this would have been a perfect time to find out more about his character, especially since we're dealing with the origin of his powers. That would have been a perfect time to go more in depth with his origins. With his origins, I can't believe Kubo messed that up. I can't believe he really, that was a big wasted opportunity. He did not. So yeah, we didn't learn much about Chad. He didn't develop as a character. He didn't develop any new powers or anything. In fact, he was tossed aside. Barely halfway, I would say halfway through the arc, he was, tossed aside. And this is supposed to be his arc. So I didn't like that part. The other thing I didn't like was... Now, there's 2 other things I'm going to mention that also annoyed me about this arc. The Fullbringers and the Soul Reapers. Well, the Soul Reapers coming in. Because I didn't like the fact that the Fullbringers were just kind of just thrown away and just became expendable. I didn't like that. Because personally, I felt like the Fullbringers should have became part of Ichigo's main group. I really did. You could have them have a conflict, or maybe have them resolve it at the end of the whole fullbring stuff. Because, that thing kind of already done that now, since 3 of them are in the Soul Society now, and they're training with Ganju. So they're helping with the Soul Society. They're already helping the Soul Society. So you could have had that development there. So, yeah, I would like to see them become part of the group. Because I think Bleach is like one of the few series where you don't really get more cast. Well, actually, Bleach has a lot of cast members, but I'm talking about like the main group. You don't see a lot of people join. Because a lot of people are saying Ruruka for Nakama. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't happen because she may have or may have not committed suicide at the end of the arc. It's really ambiguous, although if she does, that's not going to matter because she'll just wind up in Soul Society. That's what she's going to wind up if that's what happened to her. But yeah, I didn't like the fact that they were just thrown to the side. I didn't like the fact that I didn't really like. Actually, I kind of like and dislike the Soul Society coming in. Here's the thing: most of my favorite characters in Bleach are Soul Society characters, but I would have liked if they kind of just stayed in the background in this arc. Like they could have, helped get Ichigo's powers back and didn't laugh, or maybe just stood there and helped out just in case things got out of hand. But I think it should have been Ichigo's group that handled this one. I mean, bringing a bunch of, especially when they sent a bunch of captain-class soldiers to fight them, don't you think that was a bit of overkill? And it was really overkill. And then you have this. And what was the point of having Rukia show up as a vice captain just for her to get trolled? Like, that was annoying. And then you have the crap of Reggie saying, "Oh, I've been training. I've been training for like 17 to 18 months to fight Aizen." I'm like, why? Because he did the whole dog guy training that Ichigo did, back in Fake Kura Town. And I was like, why? What is the point of mentioning this? Yes, I know Aizen's going to play a bigger part later on. But we're not up to that point right now. So what's the point of even mentioning it? I just couldn't. First of all, I couldn't even take him seriously when he said that. It's sad because he's actually one of my favorite characters, but it's like, ugh, why? So that was annoying. The fights, I didn't really like any of the fights, to be honest. I thought they were all kind of meh. Well, actually, the only decent fight I felt was kind of like the Mo and Ikaku fight. The rest of them were really, really. They were meh. They were like meh to okay. But they weren't like good fights though. So, it's like, so those are like some of the missed opportunities right there. The other thing too is the fact that we didn't really learn a lot of their backstories. Like we got good pieces of a backstory, but we didn't get full backstories on any of the fullbringers, especially Ginjo Kugo, who at this point might still get a backstory in the Quincy invasion arc or whatever, the Vonderite War. But like a lot of people have said, it's not going to matter anymore. Personally, I still want to see his backstory, especially with the fact that he's supposed to be the first substitute Soul Reaper, which is another missed opportunity. It's the fact that he's the first substitute Soul Reaper, but we know nothing about this guy. We don't know his past, how he became a substitute Soul Reaper, how he gained fullbring powers. Well, actually, I guess we do know how he gained fullbring powers. We don't know what his fullbring powers are, though. His falling out with the Soul Society, his issues with Ukitake, because Ukitake, he revealed Ukitake to be, the villain, the guy who orchestrated everything. And what was the point of even bringing that up? Especially when, it's like, Kubo did nothing with that. He was like, Ukitake's the villain. When I first heard that, I was like, get that crap out of here. I thought that was incredibly stupid when I first heard that. Because, first off, that's coming out of nowhere. Like, I guess it could work, but it's random. It was really just random. You want to talk about this a random plot twist? That was as random as it gets. It was just as random as Gin deciding to betray Aizen. Yes, I thought that was really random too, because there was no build up to that. It just happened. And that's pretty much what happened with this. With the whole substitute Soul Reaper badge. It just happened. But what also pisses me off is the fact that you would think when Ichigo went to the Soul Society, you think when Ichigo would at least question Soul Society about that. No, he doesn't. He just allows them to No, he just asked him for Ginjo's body back. He don't even ask him. He don't even ask him like once about the issue. Like, well, why didn't you do? Why did you suppress my powers? Why was you spying on me? Or even just ask him about his issue with, or just ask him about Ginjo. He didn't ask him anything. Why? Like, are you really that trustworthy of Soul Society? Not saying that everyone in Soul Society is evil or anything, but come on, there's some shady people in Soul Society. That's very obvious. I'm just saying. And who knows? Maybe Ukatake did have some, evil intentions. Well, maybe not evil intentions, but still. Obviously, they didn't trust him if they're doing that. So, I don't know. I think that was really stupid on Ichigo's part that he didn't even question them at all. And the other thing too is that another missed opportunity I felt was Ichigo killing Ginjo. Because Ichigo had up to this point had not really killed anybody. Like flat out just killed someone. He never did that up to this point. I would have expected him to have like a mental breakdown from it. Because he seems like that type of person who wouldn't try to kill anybody. Except for maybe Grant Fisher, because, the whole thing was his mother, but besides that, he never really had like a full, like, I think that's the only time in the series he had like a killing intent. Like, beyond that, he never really fought to kill anybody. And a good example would be his fight with Byakuya. He could have killed, there was a point where he could have stabbed him right in the neck, but he doesn't. And Byakuya even questions him with that. He could have just killed him right there and then. But he did not do that. Why? Because he didn't want to kill him. So why kill Ginjo? I'm just saying, you killed him. You didn't have, and you even didn't have remorse. Well, maybe not remorse, but still. I think there should have been at least some introspection with that, with him, killing a dude. Especially a dude that pretty much had a mental breakdown during the fight. And the fight was practically begging him to, to confront Soul Society about their, past mistakes. About their dark past. But Ichigo just ignores it because, well, it's Soul Society and he's fine and he's cool with some people. So, those are just a couple of things that kind of pissed me off. The other thing that pissed me off is the fact that Orihime apparently isn't a fullbringer. Well, actually, we don't know that for sure. It was never really confirmed. Which doesn't make any sense to me. How can she not be a fullbringer? Her being a fullbringer actually makes a lot more sense. It makes more sense than Chad being a fullbringer. Because her powers are directly activated through her breaths that she got from her brother. How are they not fullbring powers? Oh, and then you have the whole everything has a soul thing, which was just... I've heard some people say that's kind of like what was it, Japanese mythology or something like that. I'm not sure what Kubo meant by that. If he was being like figuratively or trying to be literal. Either way, I think he was trying to be figurative. I don't think he was trying to be literal with it. At least I hope he wasn't, because if he did, that's an automatic plot hole. And so I don't know. So those are like a couple of issues right there. Oh yeah, you also had Ichigo's boss who was introduced in this arc. Like I guess she has a purpose. We just don't know what it is yet. She has been shown in the Vonderreich arc, but we don't know what it is. Oh, there is another thing that also I felt was a missed opportunity. Karin, one of Ichigo's younger sisters, because she was developed. Because as I said before in the beginning of the arc, she was starting to develop her abilities. Unfortunately, it never happens. Like, we see her going to Uhara